Hey, Spencer.
Yeah.
So we want to record the bonus content for the JLMAY crossover?
I definitely want to.
Excellent. So you have maybe some questions. We'll do some general talk about this 12-issue maxi series.
Right.
And, yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of start from the beginning. So you mentioned that this is not the original JLA origin story.
No, it's tweaked. It's a post-crisis retcon.
Right.
Right. Yeah, great. I like this. As a whole, I enjoyed this story. Despite some reservations, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Post-crisis, DC made the decision that the Trinity were not going to be founding members of the JLA.
Okay.
Which is a big boo from me.
Yeah.
They wanted to have Wonder Woman come along later. George Perez was doing his series, and he was going to do something separate with her. And they wanted to have Superman and Batman kind of like have new beginnings and just kind of slowly grow to meet each other. Right. So they, instead of the original Magnificent Seven, well, that's what people refer to it as. We had 4 of them, and then Black Canary as sort of a stand-in for Wonder Woman.
Right.
Now, look, I like Black Canary as a character just fine, but she's no replacement for Wonder Woman.
Well, no one's a replacement for Wonder Woman.
Right. I mean, like, she's just not that powerful compared to any of them, even Aquaman.
Right.
Who is more powerful than people give him credit for? His standing as a character has definitely improved in the past few years.
It's really cool to hate Aquaman right now.
Well, not anymore, but it has been traditionally. Right, That's what I'm saying. But she's not just being asked to be a stand-in for Wonder Woman. She's asked to be a stand-in for she's taking the place of Superman and Batman as well, and it's such a noticeable absence to have the 3 of them gone.
Right.
Now, I mean, you can say, okay, from story point of wise, what do you need Superman for, or what do you need all these other people around when you have Superman?
Right.
But depth. And having read many of the Silver Age stories, they have all these across the globe kind of like finding pieces of a puzzle or menace that's all over the place that they'll break off into groups or whatever, and so Superman can't be everywhere,
right? So
it makes sense in that kind of storytelling. But we don't tell stories like that in the modern age of comics, so I get kind of why, but it was a bad move. There were a lot of post-crisis bad moves. With Superman, they eliminated him ever being Superboy, so that messed up Legion of Superheroes continuity.
Oh, right.
They had to create a pocket universe where there was a Superboy.
Okay.
And then, literally, I haven't read the story, but there's a story where he literally punches the wall of a reality, or someone does.
Right.
And that straightens things out. And they literally call that the continuity punch.
Wow.
Yeah, which is terrible. Yeah. But yeah, so that aside, and I like Black Canary, I don't want to be dumping on her, but I just don't see these 5 heroes, even though the rest of them are great, being as exciting without Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And I don't see it as 5 characters being a league.
Okay.
So if you were like on a sports ball team, 5 guys doesn't make a team.
Right.
But like 7 guys, okay. You got, you're 4 men in if you're playing basketball, and you got other guys who can, sub them out or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Is that how that goes?
I don't like basketball.
Well, I played it actually in junior high. I don't remember all this stuff.
I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit, I think.
Okay, tell me why.
I think without Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman,
these other characters do get a chance to shine more.
Absolutely. I definitely think Manhunter really, like, if you didn't know Manhunter before,
John Jones.
Yeah, you know him now.
Yeah, and if you go back and read a lot of those the stories from the 1960s, their dialogue between them, all of them, is practically interchangeable. There's very little characterization, and that doesn't really change until, well, Gardner Fox isn't writing the book anymore.
Right.
Gardner Fox was a plot guy. He wasn't really big on characterization.
Gotcha.
That shifted. I think the late 60s saw the book really start to improve. I think Denny O'Neil wrote it for a while. lots of people, other people. It was nice when it changed hands with writers and stuff. But
yeah, and I think you get to see leadership roles emerge. In this book, where they wouldn't if Batman or Superman are there,
right? Because one of them is definitely going to be the leader,
right? And so, it was noticeable that the Trinity weren't there, but
these characters did get to have lots of more character moments and grow together as a group. Something that, frankly, didn't really see in Silver Age. They did this origin with the Appalachians, not with the Locust stuff. That origin with the Appalachians was their origin, but that was from Justice League of America number 9, which is like their 12th story.
Right.
Which I think they'd been around like almost 3 years when that was published, with no origin. And then they just carried on like whatever.
Right.
Similar to, the Justice Society never had an origin until like 1978 or 9.
Oh,
in
really?
DC Special number 29 or 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was kind of a long time.
Yeah, they just had them come together and whatever. It was a different time, 1940.
Right, yeah. Yeah, everyone was way friendlier. Apparently.
Yeah, it was the December 1940 issue of All Star Comics. Nice. So yeah, I think it's number 3. Is that right? 3 or 4? Can't remember. Anyway,
so yeah, I just wanted to kind of mention the pre-crisis or the post-crisis stuff.
Yeah, there's some differences there, but there are strengths to this.
Yeah,
and I enjoy the story a lot.
Yeah, no, it was great.
And they touch on a lot of Silver Age stuff and kind of update it a little bit, which mostly works pretty smoothly, actually.
So, yeah, the only other kind of things I wanted to talk about were all the other teams in here. Lots
of guest appearances in this series.
So, from what I remember, there is the Challenge of the Unknown.
You want to talk about these one at a time?
I was just going to do kind of a short list first, and then we can talk about them.
Sure.
So, Challenge of the Unknown.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks. The JSA. The
Sea Devils.
The Sea Devils. I
think they just get a one-off throwaway mention. Because I don't remember them showing up in the series. The Blackhawks do.
Who? The JSA?
The Sea Devils.
Oh, the Sea Devils.
They just get kind of a one-off mention.
Yeah. Because
and the Doom Patrol are in this.
And the Doom Patrol. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe one at a time we'll talk about this.
Let's do that. I guess let's start here. So we have these panels with the Challenges of the Unknown and the Blackhawks and Batman.
Right. And what's going on in this part of the story? It's one of the first few issues of the series. We're going from the trade here.
Yeah. So I don't know if they've kind of come up with a name yet, but the Justice League kind of emerges and says, "Hey, we're here. We're a team. You need us. We'll be there."
Sure.
And they're getting all this press coverage and this like crazy media stuff.
I think this is like the second or third issue.
Yeah. And while this is all happening, we get a cut to the Challenges of the Unknown.
Yeah.
And the Blackhawks, and they're both watching this on like TV.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, who are these guys?"
Right.
And I think there's a little jealousy from these because they've been around for so long.
Right. I think I should address the Blackhawks, the Challengers, and the Sea Devils kind of in a general topic. Yeah. First of all, the Blackhawks started in, I think, 1940 or 41 or so. Early 40s. At Quality Comics. Folks who brought us Uncle Sam, Plastic Man, the Black Condor, the Ray, etc. Post-war... At some point, I'm a little fuzzy, Quality folded and sold their characters to DC, who pretty much put everything in a drawer and forgot about them for a long time, except for the Blackhawks, where they just carried on the publication. I think our Army at War was a Quality Comics title, and then DC carried on and eventually debuted Sergeant Rock in that book.
Gotcha.
But
he has a few showcase
volumes. Yes, Underman Sergeant Rock is awesome.
Okay.
Love Sergeant Rock. If you're going to read any war comics, read Sergeant Rock.
Okay.
And if you're going to read more than just one, read The Haunted Tank.
Okay.
War comics there's lots of good stuff, but those are like the creme de la creme for me.
Okay.
The Blackhawks, they're this squadron of multinational. It's a squadron of 7 fighter pilots, and they're all from a different country.
Okay.
And they are independent of any nation's army. But they're adventurers, fighting. They were fighting Nazis in the World War II. Right. But then they were fighting, troublemakers and supervillains and things like that in the 50s and 60s.
Gotcha.
And they're rad. Blackhawk and his team are really cool.
Okay. So they're pilots. So their villains are like who?
Gosh, I remember them having like some weird bird-themed villain. I'm like really fuzzy on this.
Okay.
But a lot of it would be just generic, like...
So they're not like fighting bank robbers?
No, they would be fighting guys trying to take over small nations or things like that. Gotcha. They're kind of soldiers of fortune. Okay,
cool.
And they're really great.
Yeah.
And I enjoy them. They're really fun. In the late 60s during Batmania, the Blackhawk book did a really dumb thing, and it gets kind of mentioned in this book. They all kind of took on goofy, gimmicky superhero identities for about, I think, 20 issues or so, and it basically led to the series' cancellation eventually.
Oh, no.
It got revived.
Okay.
But the rose was definitely off the bloom. It got revived briefly in the 70s and then got canceled again, regularly. And then briefly in the early 80s before getting canceled. And then getting kind of revamped by Martin Pasco. First by Martin Pasco and then by Howard Chaykin. And those are interesting, a little more adult spins on them. But those are cool. But yeah, that period where they all became like goofy superheroes, it's bad.
Right.
It's really...
I'm sure.
It's a blight on their otherwise illustrious career in comics. And then, so DC in the 60s was really, or late 50s and into the 60s, really keen on these teams of adventurers that were not super powered guys.
Right.
But kind of worked in the superhero kind of vein. So the Challengers of the Unknown were 4 men who... They were supposed to do a television special. They were flying to do this television special. And one is like, there's Prof. Haley, who was a scientist. Rocky, who was like a boxer and a wrestler. Ace Morgan, who was a great test pilot, I think. And then Red Ryan, and I can't remember what Red Ryan was. But they were all these kind of adventurous, rugged guys, okay? Well, their plane crashed or whatever. And for all intents and purposes, they should have died. But they survived. And they said, like, well, we're men living on borrowed time. And so they banded together as a team of adventurers. And they had the Challengers Mountain, where they had operated out of. And they had all the scientific equipment and stuff. It was really a prototype for the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
And it was created by Jack Kirby and Wally Wood.
Oh, okay.
Which is rad.
Yeah.
So they're really awesome. They had lots of... So they had lots of science fiction adventures against monsters and supervillains like Multi-Man. And I remember reading one about the human sponge. Jeff and I did that one.
Oh,
It
wow.
was really weird. And I feel like that one they teamed up with the Sea Devils. Because it was a little sea-based. And the Sea Devils were similar to the Challengers, but not as deep. It was a guy and his buddy and his girlfriend and the kid brother. Okay. And Dane Dorrance was the leader, and I don't remember the name of any of the other characters. I read only a couple issues of them. But they were similar to the Challengers, only like all their adventures were sea-based. And I think they should have crossed over with Aquaman, but I don't know for sure if that happened in the Silver Age.
Right.
It seems like a shoo-in.
Yeah, it seems like...
I think they've done other stories that were kind of like set in a retro time or whatever that have like, oh yeah, there's an association there.
Okay.
Because all their adventures are based in the sea.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the Blackhawks, they had their own island, the Blackhawk Island, which we see in this series.
Yeah.
And that is also really cool.
Yeah.
So
who doesn't want their own island?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, all these adventure teams, really cool.
Yeah. I like that they're unpowered.
Yeah. And yet they fight supervillains.
Yeah.
Cool, huh? And monsters and stuff. They were a perfect atomic age heroes.
Mm-hmm.
They worked really well in the, maybe somebody really likes science fiction, they're interested in comic books, maybe superheroes aren't necessarily their guys.
Right, yeah.
These are kind of like superheroes, but they're just men of means and ingenuity who go and fight and, with their can-do spirit. Yeah. It's very American, and I can't get enough of comics like that. They're actually really fun.
Yeah.
I like those teams a lot.
I think finally the last one was the...
Well, there's the Doom Patrol. You want to talk about the JSA also, right?
Oh, yeah, we could.
But you want to talk about Doom Patrol?
Yeah. So it's... I can't remember.
The main team is the Chief, Niles Calder, Robot Man, Negative Man, and Elastigirl.
Elastigirl, that's right.
Yeah. And so they all had accents that gave them their powers and stuff.
Right.
And they were freaks who kind of came together and all were this really strange super team.
Yeah.
Debuted slightly before the original X-Men, and there are similarities.
Yeah.
Although really they're a funhouse mirror image of the Fantastic Four if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Robot Man, like Metamorpho, the characterization is almost identical to Ben Grimm from The Thing.
Yeah.
And some of the roles are switched around, but yeah, there's similarities between the Fantastic Four and the original X-Men. The original X-Men were another copy of the Fantastic Four. It's like, well, let's do this only as teenagers, and then it became a whole nother thing later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Doom Patrol are cool. I mean, I've read really just a handful of the Silver Age stories, which are wacky and awesome.
Okay.
And then, I've seen other stories where they're kind of retroactively, or stories set in the past where they show up. JLA The Nail. Do you ever read that?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, also Beast Boy, who would later be Changeling in the Teen Titans. He was in the Doom Patrol. Oh. And then Mento was this guy who invented a apparatus that would give him psychic and telekinetic powers. He had kind of chased in vain Elastigirl romantically.
Oh, okay.
And kind of hung around the Doom Patrol. He was sort of an unofficial,
Right.
He was a hanger-on who was with them in a lot of adventures.
Yeah.
But they did eventually marry, and then they adopted Garfield as their stepchild or their foster son or whatever, however that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, foster son. So isn't that cute?
Yeah. I liked because they kind of go over origin stuff with the Doom Patrol in this.
A little bit. Oh yeah, and then their villains, the Brotherhood of Evil.
The Brotherhood of Evil right here.
Madame Rouge, the Brain, and Monsieur Mallah.
Yeah.
Who are rad.
Yeah.
And in Grant Morrison's run of the Doom Patrol, it would be revealed that the Brain and Monsieur Mallah are gay and in love. Oh. Isn't that fun? Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't change it might change slightly my perception of those characters. Okay, this is a little wacky. The loyalty Mallah has for the Brain and everything. But...
Yeah.
But it doesn't really change the dynamic of that weird group.
I'm a little uncomfortable with it because he is so subservient to the Brain.
But also, it's it can only be I love you on an emotional level, not on a physical anything. Because so whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
The Brain made Mallah super intelligent. He's not from Gorilla City. He was a regular gorilla who was made intelligent.
Okay.
It's not like he programmed him to be in love with him.
Right.
Which would be messed up.
Yeah.
That would be messed up.
Yeah.
But this is just a happenstance.
Okay.
And Madame Rouge, she's got stretchy powers, and she also had a romance with the Chief from the Doom Patrol, there's a conflict of interests. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
and I love Negative Man. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not taking orders from a brain in some goo.
But I love a brain in a jar. I love villains with the exposed brain. I love Simon. I like characters like that.
Yeah, but if he's just a brain with a robot body, not taking orders from it.
Okay, but that's
Not gonna do
you.
it.
You're not Monsieur Milan.
I'm not.
Or Madame Rouge.
Or Madame Rouge, no.
But I also think it's funny to note, okay, Negative Man is the entity that exists inside Larry Trainor.
Yeah.
Larry isn't Negative Man.
Right.
He releases Negative Man.
Yeah, and I wasn't a huge fan of that character.
Negative Man?
Yeah, I think that's a dumb idea.
I think it's
Because
kind
he's
of...
totally vulnerable, and he can only be outside of...
For like a minute?
For a minute, or he dies.
Yeah, but that comes back, and then he can do it again. This is, like, you have to remember, this kind of, like, 1 minute, 1 hour, those kinds of tropes are, like, all over the Silver Age.
Right.
And for him to have a body that need to be protected by his teammates, also interesting.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
I think that...
like, if that was real, of course, he would be the first one to die. And then Negative Man would have to take up residence in somebody else.
Right.
Because Larry would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
But because comics... It's cool.
Yeah.
I love how Rita Farr, she's a beautiful girl, but her career ended because she became this, like, size-changing freak.
Right, yeah.
Like, what?
No.
But apparently that was too much for her, you know, and
also, why... Like, I wouldn't tell people if that was the...
But it was like it happened on set, so people knew.
Oh, I see.
I think that's right.
Okay.
So, I don't even remember all the details of that. But anyway, that's the deal with the Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
I love them a lot. I want to get both the showcase volumes and read them, because the stories I've read, I've loved.
Right. Yeah, so last but certainly not least, the JSA.
Yeah, it's post-crisis, so no Earth 1, Earth 2 business.
Right.
This is just, these are the World War II heroes, and instead of the really weird story of, you know, do you know pre-crisis, the deal with Black Canary?
No. I don't know. Like,
okay, pre-crisis, the JSA, you know, because there was always the JSA, JLA crossovers every summer. Okay. For like 20 years they did that. At one point, Black Canary decides to move from Earth 2 to Earth 1. She's going to, you know, whatever. And they found a way to kind of de-age her, because, like, so it wouldn't be like like a weird age thing. They had it so she was a widow, but she had a daughter that a villain had kidnapped and kept in suspended animation and made her forget all about.
Okay.
And then it was revealed to her and the JSA, and I'm fuzzy on this, I think Dr. Fate has something to do with this, that the daughter was in suspended animation, but her brain never, like, developed. She grew to a womanhood, but never had any input in her brain, so she was basically a vegetable.
Gotcha.
And then, I think it was Dr. Fate, put the mind of the original Black Canary in her daughter's body, and they made her forget that she had the daughter. And she stayed with the Justice League. That is messed up.
Yeah.
Super messed up. And I really hope somebody will come back and straighten me out if I fudge the details there.
Yeah. I hope you did, because that is rough.
That is rough. Anyway, post-crisis, there's none of that. She's the daughter, she grew up, and she took over the mantle, and we have Legacy.
Why couldn't that be a thing? I don't know. Okay. Yeah.
Because comics.
But
I honestly, like, that's so messed up, but it's kind of Silver Age awesome.
Yeah.
I think that happened, like, because she joined the JLA during the satellite era, I think.
Okay.
Like, beginning of that time. So it's that transition between the Silver and Bronze Age, and comics are just wackadoo.
Right.
I love comics from this period, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
And kind of awful.
Yeah.
Kind of makes Fate, I think it's Dr. Fate, pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Also, I think in the 80s, there's a villain named Ian Karkull, who, because of him, is why all the JSA members stay kind of, like, vital and able to stay active even though they're, you know, old.
Oh.
Because
also Cialis.
I didn't mean like that.
Oh, okay.
But just, you know, like, they still have their youth and vitality, relatively speaking, because of contact with this guy, Ian Karkull. I don't remember what his whole deal was.
Oh.
I'm a little fuzzy. Dang it, I need to reread my Who's Who and DCU issues.
Everyone should read those.
They should. I'm trying to put together a set for you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So try to act surprised when you get it.
Okay. Yeah, but they show up because of Black Canary in this trade.
Oh, the JSA do.
Yeah, the JSA.
And it's revealed also that Black Canary had an affair with Starman.
Right.
And it just says
it's not revealed.
Well,
we just find out that she had an affair
with Starman.
Right.
It's Ted, and there's a big party with the JLA or the JSA rather that Laurel goes to, kind of a get together, and there's two Teds in the JSA, so I had to kind of like figure it out. I'm like, oh, it's not Ted Grant, it's not the Wildcat.
Gotcha.
It's Ted Knight, not the actor from Caddyshack and the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but Starman.
Right.
Also, Ted Knight was the voice of the intro to Challenge of the Super Friends.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Ted Knight was the narrator for that. I love that. So, but yeah, it's not Judge Smales. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. Did you have any other stuff?
No, but definitely check this trade out. I think we're going to be talking about issue number 11.
They'll have heard our talk about that before this drops. Oh, okay. This is the bonus content.
Well, you've listened to it, and you better like
it. This bonus content is created as kind of a preview for the kind of stuff that will be exclusive to our Patreon subscribers. We are launching a Patreon soon. We're going to give this away for free. It's going to be on our RSS feed. And this is a nice tie-in to our participation in the JLMAY crossover with a bunch of other groovy podcasts. But this and other bonus content will be produced regularly and will be exclusively available to our Patreon subscribers when we launch that.
So look for it.
Yes. So we want to wrap this up and call it good. All right.